What's up, people? We are back with more of Eden. We actually went back into the shooting range to have a private conversation with Levi, so let's see how this turns out. As usual, there was nobody to be found at the shooting range. It was virtually uninhabited, except during scheduled practices. We were facility guards who rarely got the chance to see combat, so practice was essential all the more. What are you thinking about? Perhaps we should start a training regimen? Serving alongside troops who are so out of practice worries me. Don't bother. Only a fool would needlessly rile everyone up, get the superiors and their subordinates fuming. Besides, I bet you would survive even if the rest of the unit got annihilated. The others' abilities don't really matter. I'd like to increase my likelihood of survival. Besides, no matter what happens, wouldn't you survive too? I wonder. Levi gently laughed and shrugged. Honestly speaking, I couldn't begin to measure Levi's abilities. Her every action left no opening, but that was natural of anyone with a little training, so I couldn't discern how skilled she truly was. You know, I've known about you before you were transferred here. We've actually met and talked before. That's the first time I've heard of this. It was 5 or 6 years ago, I think. Do you remember Operation Intercept at Old Tokyo? Now that you mention it, there was something like that. After the conflict with the enemy landing unit at the bay, we cleaned up the remaining enemy forces and were advancing inland. If memory serves, my unit took heavy casualties. Oh, that's right! I think I got separated from my unit and couldn't make contact, so I wandered around alone for a while. You remember well. And how about meeting me, who was wandering the battlefield alone, just like you? Not at all. Hey now. Levi's fist was shaking. It appears that I have incurred her wrath. Meeting a girl your age on the battlefield isn't something that happens every day. How could you forget that? You're putting emphasis on being a girl, but you are still a soldier, right? I didn't put much thought into whether someone was a man or a woman on the battlefield. When I assessed others, it had been in terms of how competent or incompetent they were, and if they were competent, which field they excelled at. That was about the extent of what I kept on my mind. Anyway, I was mobilized with you, though it was only for about 3 days. Whoa. You really forgot, huh? Did you forget what Private Haruna said to me back then too? Of course I don't remember. Uh-oh, she is really mad. I could just about hear the blood vessels bulging from her temples. Of course, that was just my imagination. You, Deme. You were a sniper back then, and a damn good one at that. So much that you looked a little bit like a monster to me. Now that she mentioned it, I vaguely remembered something like that. As I moved through the collapsed city of Old Tokyo alone, I searched for what few enemy troops lurked in the rubble and dealt with them. They weren't very adept, and couldn't tell where the shots came from, so it was simple to take them out one at a time as they scrambled amidst the confusion. There was really nothing else to do. It was a time killer, so I did it again and again. It was literally a time killer. I'm not good with guns, and my eyes aren't great. Wouldn't that mean you were useless on the battlefield? Yes, I was. You told me to watch and learn, but it wasn't helpful at all. Sorry for being useless. I said that? That sounded like me. Well, never mind that. You were kind of scary, killing enemy soldiers calmly and accurately without moving an eyebrow, but I tried to ask you something. What exactly? She took in a short breath. I asked why you were fighting. I seem to recall being asked something similar recently. And your answer never changed. You said it plain as day, for someone important. Now I understood. Had I been achieving my original objective? If my determination was shaken, if I were to stand still, I may have been crushed under the weight of the sins I had accumulated. I couldn't afford to be crushed as long as I hadn't reached my goal yet. We were pretty friendly with each other towards the end. We were assigned to separate units, but you were on my mind for a while. Oh, Lavi! Wow, how about that, huh? Oh, wait! Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying I liked you or anything. Actually, I liked you just a little, but this is no manga. It's not like I had an undying crush for the last few years. You're self-destructing pretty casually, aren't you, Lavi? I think Lavi was waiting for me to suddenly remember our purported meeting from back then. Her frustration seemed to be overflowing since I had little recollection of the event, no matter how much she pressed the issue. Oh geez, this conversation is not going the way I had planned. I hadn't done anything wrong, so why was I being yelled at? Hey, who is it that's important to you? Warned Officer Haruna. Do you not look at Miss Alicia because you have that person in mind? It's of no relevance to you. Hey now, of course it's relevant. I'm your partner, now and back then. Just because we're partners doesn't mean we need to know every last thing about each other. I don't know things about you either. There's far more I don't know than do. Whoa, that's because you don't try to learn them. I didn't blink once and didn't take my eyes off her. Did both of them like, is he pointing her gun at her out of reflex? Like, oh, she pulled a knife and then immediately, a split second after, the gun was pointed towards her. Dang. Yeah, I don't think this is how normal partners act towards each other, but okay. Just don't kill each other, please. I didn't blink once, and she didn't take my eyes off her. In spite of that, no sooner had her hand moved did she manage to draw her knife. So, what's the big idea? You have quite the reaction speed. Just what I expected. V had without a doubt moved first, and I hadn't been able to follow her movements. But even so, I had my handgun pointed at her before she could prepare her knife. Move before you think. Shoot before you're shot. It's the same for you, right? It's not guns or knives that mustn't be directed at the wrong person, but rather the desire to kill. Don't you think? That's about right. I'll ask one more time. What are you trying to do all of a sudden? I'm sick of how unruffled you look. Those are some scary eyes, Lavi. If you had made those eyes when I met you on the battlefield, then there's no way I would have forgotten. It's an honor to be told that by a soldier I used to aspire to be. Yes, I wanted to be just like you. My arms were slim, I lacked upper body strength, and I kept being treated as a hindrance on the battlefield. But you're the very soldier I thought I wanted to become. Ryou Haruna. Because I met you, because I found a goal, I became strong. If you're strong, it's because you took the time to train and learn to survive in the field. The way she drew and handled her knife just now was magnificent. I couldn't find any flaws in her stance. However, don't mistake who you're pointing your blade at. No, perhaps you weren't even meant to hold a weapon. What do you mean? I'm saying, you're softer than I am. I lowered my gun and put it away in its holster. If you don't follow through with the kill, you'll be countered. You should know that much. You can't play the role of a cold-blooded killer unless it's in the line of duty, can you? Well, I'm not quite a machine. I haven't been honed to that degree yet. Levy dropped her knife. Her sharp eyes still glared at me. I think you're fine like that. I fight for the one important to me. I've killed many and done even more unspeakable things. I've become so stained with blood, I can no longer see her. Alicia had said she knew my sister, but that was why I couldn't ask about her. It had been 7 years since she had been taken away. I couldn't let her see how much I had changed. Warrant Officer Levy is at the end of a rope. Huh? The Major stared hard at me, with his mouth agape. I said, she's at the end of a rope. She isn't suited for murder. You came here out of nowhere, and now I've got no idea what you're talking about. Here, look at this instead. He scratched his head and turned the screen towards me. The application loaded up with emails, and the subject, RE, news coverage request, lined up one after another. She's a persistent one. Actually, there's quite a few reporters who want to interview Sion, but I've never met the one who's harassed me with such tenacity. Maya Tuno. She appeared to be a budding young journalist, but she has an admirable spirit, so much so that I'd like to have her as a subordinate. What? A journalist? That's true. What would you say to making her a subordinate and assigning Levy to some position behind the scenes? Why is Ryou trying to do this to Levy? Is Levy that much of a lost cause? Please don't feign ignorance. I'm sure you've noticed. Getting straight to the point, she's not suited to be a soldier. I didn't know what reasons Levy had for joining the army and had no intent of prying into her past. One thing's for certain, she wasn't tough enough to kill for a living. That expression she showed me when she pulled out her knife, it was the face of someone a step away from breaking. It didn't seem like she'd turned to drugs and the likes just yet. What? But if she kept working like this, that may just be a matter of time. How can he read that just from a simple facial expression? What the hell? Levy performed admirably on the battlefield and made it to the rank of warrant officer, the same as you. You can't mean she's unsuited in terms of qualifications. She's clearly bottling up a great deal. Her abilities may be up to par, but that doesn't mean her psyche is suited for it. Do you intend to use her until she ceases to function? If she ceases to function, then that'll be the end of it. Major Inaba declared a smile on his face, albeit a small one. I'm not doing it for fun. Levy is free to resign if she wishes, and I'm in no position to say otherwise. Am I wrong? I wanted to say otherwise. Levy saw no alternatives. She was the type who carried out her orders to the letter, to the bitter end, no matter what they might be. I was certain that a long time ago, a girl by the name of Lavinia had decided that this would be the right path for herself. Her chance encounter with me may have strengthened that resolve. She had stuck to that decision to this day, believing that solitary choice would decide the rest of her life. If there was anything that could overturn that belief, it would be her superior, Major Inaba, diverted her from that course in life, by force if necessary. Levy will listen if it's an order, and you're the only one who has the authority to issue one to her. Sorry, but I can't give such an order. What do you mean? This facility will be shut down before long. I know. Oh? How did you get wind of that? The Major seemed genuinely surprised. Sion probably hadn't actually known it was shutting down, but likely saw the writing on the wall. She probably foresaw me coming too. Sion will be transferred to space, right? so the princess saw through it all. Yeah, she'll soon leave here, and first head to the moon. So, Levi and Dai have been chosen as her attendants for the occasion? Yeah, that's basically it. At any rate, she's popular, but she has many enemies. Although the anti-immigration faction has mostly been eradicated from the planet, it only takes one to pull the trigger. We can't let our guard down. In addition, those jealous of her popularity could also cause trouble. There were sure to be those who knew the internal state of the military, so you could say they also posed a threat. The higher-ups decided it could potentially be even more dangerous to assign a sizable detachment of guards to her in order to keep her from standing out. We'll be keeping her escort to a bare minimum. This has already been decided. I have no means of overturning it. While that may be true, surely it doesn't have to involve Levi, does it? Sion is a woman. It would be desirable to have a female amongst her guards. Levi is reliable, skilled, and female. There aren't many other soldiers who meet those requirements, especially the last one. There was almost no emotion in his words. It was like he was just indifferently speaking the facts. You may regret it one day. I feel regret every second of my life. I constantly wonder what would have happened if I never became a soldier. Constantly. There was nothing more to say. I understood and saluted the major. I turned around without another word. My mind couldn't be any cooler, and my 5 senses were as sharp as ever. If I looked into the mirror, I might have been able to see the face of a demon who had forgotten his humanity. I sat on my bed, staring straight at the wall, clutching my pistol in hand. In the end, this was all I had. I could only fight as ordered. While I had noticed Levi's issues, I couldn't even lend a helping hand. I would protect Sion with my life, alongside a broken Levi. That was all I could do. That, and defeating those who stood in my way with this pistol. That girl had never seen the outside world. Staring intently at the monitor on an empty island, working herself to the bone to allow mankind to escape into space, huh? And her transfer to space would be her first and final journey. I just wanted to see the world. Sion lost her freedom because of how talented she was. And once I decided I wanted to see and run beneath the wide open sky, I couldn't something. She would have to leave this world knowing nothing of the blue sky, the clouds, the wind. It wouldn't matter if it were just for a brief moment, if only I could stand and smile in the gentle wind. Was this really to be the fate of the girl who saves mankind? Then I would say goodbye to the world. Sis, there's a girl suffering just like you did. I strengthened my grip on the gun. The echo of my sister's words and Sion's reality sent a stabbing pain through my heart. A modest wish and woeful words. I had to bring it to an end. No. My first and last chance to stop this was right in front of me, right this second. I never wanted to feel the same way I did back then, ever again. Back then. Consider me your big sister, she said. That person who suddenly appeared and began living in my home. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, tending the fields, and of course hunting with a rifle. She couldn't do any of these things. She was utterly helpless. However, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. I came to love the way she smiled when she shyly said that. You're amazing, Ryou. You're so young, but you can do everything. That hand that brushed my head was warm. One day, Mom and Dad suddenly disappeared. When I woke up in the morning, breakfast was left on the table. Back then, all I did was eat breakfast and go outside to tend the fields. I'm sure there was a reason for it. I lowered my head. I wasn't so sure of that. There used to be many people living all over this mountain. But the people on the mountain started disappearing one by one until my family remained. And finally, Mom and Dad disappeared too. I'm positive your parents will come back one day. You have to wait for them without crying until then. Yeah, this person who appeared, who crossed paths with Mom and Dad, I naturally accepted this kind person. She called herself Natsume, but I called her sister. I woke up early every day, watered the crops, fed the chickens, and made breakfast for two. So, the beginning, I'm not sure now. Like in the beginning, I think it was in like the first or the second video where you see Ryou and some girl, which I'm now doubtful whether it's Natsume or Sion, but they are sort of living in this house, right, and are doing just house chores, gardening and that sort of stuff. I'm really confused. I thought at first I thought that was Sion, but now I'm sort of confused because of this flashback. But I guess we'll find out. I woke up early every day, watered the crops, fed the chickens, and made breakfast for two. Morning. You're up early again today. Oh no, now I'm pretty sure that it was Sion. This is just a flashback, and I think Sion really reminds her of Natsume. That's why he sort of feels this strong bond connection with her. Morning. Breakfast is ready. Because at this point, Ryou is still very young. Yeah, you can certainly tell the difference, right? You're so amazing, Ryou. Think you could be my husband? Didn't you just say that I could call you big sister, and now... What? I mean, sure, we're not technically related, but... Huh? I blushed, and couldn't say anything back. You're so cute, Ryou. You don't have to take everything so seriously. You're going without lunch today. Aw, you don't have to go that far. Sorry. I'm sorry. So cheer up, Ryou. Of course, I wasn't seriously angry. Far from it. I was actually happy. Even if she was joking, what she said made me happy. But I'm happy. Huh? You like me, don't you? It didn't sound like a joke this time. Although she had a smile on her face, her eyes were genuinely sincere. But I couldn't say it. I couldn't say that I liked her out loud. You really are a boy. So stubborn. Is Natsume a felix as well? I'm getting that feeling. It'll get cold if you don't hurry up and eat. Like, why else would she be unable to sort of do these, I guess, simple tasks for normal humans? Like, make breakfast, tend to the gardens, that sort of stuff. Like, that is sort of normal / easy for normal people, but for felixes, because they've never really been learned that stuff or even been in positions where they had to do stuff like that, they don't know anything about it, I'm assuming. So I'm almost sure Natsume is a felix as well. I said bluntly and picked up my fork. But she didn't touch her food. She only gazed at me. Life with my sister passed by uneventfully. She was useless in a good way and just ate and slept every day. However, she taught me many things. I had always lived on this mountain and knew nothing but the skills to stay alive. To me, my sister's stories were a breath of fresh air. She taught me that the planet was coming to an end. About the existence of the ships that would take us to live beyond the sky. About the outside world where wars raged on. I listened to all these stories, which set my heart aflutter. And finally, there's a girl who will be leading mankind to the new world. A girl? She's a very strong girl. She has been entrusted with humanity's future, turns our prayers into hopes, and has become our guide to a new world. People understand how precious living is because now we have a future. It was her who reminded us of something so obvious. Where is she now? Somewhere far away. Somewhere very, very far away. Even now, she continues to burn away her life in order to give about a beginning rather than an end. She just looks forward while dreaming of the outside world. But you know what I think? Isn't it a bad thing to just look forward? Sometimes looking to the side or looking back. There just might be something important there. You may have lost something. There may be the smile of a loved one. Isn't it important to try looking around once in a while? That's how it was for me. I could only ever face forward, could only move my legs without reckless abandon. I never had any idea what sort of footprints I might be leaving behind me. No, in truth, I couldn't even look ahead. The fact that I've never seen anything was scary, so I went on a trip to find what I truly desired. And then, I met you. Sis, it'd be nice if that girl could come here too. I'm sure you could become good friends with her. I have no basis for saying this, but I just have a feeling. I thought I was happy. It was fun to cook with her, and although the things she told me were a little confusing, listening to her voice warmed my heart. However, happiness always weakens the heart. I was probably happy when I was living with mom and dad as well. When I was enveloped in happiness, I thought of nothing. I never made sure it was actually in my best interest or not. When the happiness ended, I knew for the first time how irreplaceable the time I had spent truly was. That was something I should have known, but I was an idiot. I was an idiot for believing that I could live with her forever. I realized something felt odd when I was cleaning up after breakfast. I couldn't explain what it was, but I had a tingle on the back of my neck. Something bad was coming. I grabbed my rifle and threw all the ammo I had onto the table. "Ryou, what's wrong?" "Stay here." I answered without taking my eyes off the door. There was no way there would be any bears, but it could have been a stray dog. Something that could break into the house. Regardless, I had to take control of the situation. I loaded the magazine onto the rifle and pulled back onto the bolt to get a round ready. "Ryou, what are you doing with..." I heard it just as she began talking behind me. The sound of footsteps outside, coming towards the door. It didn't sound like a wild animal. It was definitely people. However, this bad feeling that just kept growing wouldn't let me take my hands off of the rifle. What should I do? There was no way I could shoot a person, but this was my sister. My mind was all over the place, and a subtle shaking of my hand, which held the rifle, would not cease. "Stop, Ryou!" "Huh?" She placed her hand on top of my own. "It's okay. It was bound to happen. It's not somebody you need to point such a thing at. Wouldn't you say, Lieutenant Inaba?" "Oh God." She looked at the door as if waiting for something to happen. Several seconds passed. The door opened and a lone man walked in. "Inaba, really? Good guess." The man had a slightly bemused look on his face and stood a small distance away from us. Okay, so I think Natsume escaped from like the place where all the felixes were, because she just wanted to know about the outside world. And Major Inaba apparently is like, even now he was in charge of the felixes, right? But I think even back then that was also the same. So he's trying to bring Natsume back, I'm guessing. I don't know. Knowing you, I just figured you'd come get me yourself. I should have expected no less from you, Natsume. You saw right through me. That goes double for you, Lieutenant. I'm surprised you found out about this place. Tracking isn't even your specialty. We're one and the same in that aspect. No matter how exceptionally intelligent you are, escaping military pursuit for your first time outside should be impossible. This guy was an enemy. My sister's enemies were my enemies. Get out! I readied the rifles and aimed for his forehead. From this distance, I wouldn't miss even if I were blindfolded. My fingers could move faster than this man could. Well, well. Wherever did you find such a splendid knight, Natsume? Stop! I won't allow anyone to tease this boy. Absolutely no one. Not even you. Sorry about that. Embarrassed, he shrugged his shoulders and scratched his head. I apologize. So please lower your gun. It doesn't seem to be a toy, and I'm an easy man to scare. We'll call it even as long as you get out. That's a problem. If I can't tease him, then I'll have to get serious with him. Wait a second. I don't mind waiting, if it's only a little, but... His tone grew low and gloomy. I'd like to get this damn worthless assignment over with as soon as possible. So, Natsume, let me get it over with already. Arguing the point further won't change the results. I understand, Lieutenant Inaba. She nodded slightly and grabbed the barrel of the gun. Sis. Thank you, Ryou. But it's okay now. You've already given me more happiness than I could have ever asked for. That's plenty for me. Aww. I lowered my rifle. The scent of her hair reached my nose as she hugged me. I couldn't think while wrapped in my sister's warmth. Sis. Goodbye, Ryou. No. I came here and saw so many things. The sky, the wind, the scent of the forest, and the fragrance of the flowers, the chill of the lake water, and the calm of the night. I won't forget any of them. The memories I made with you will never disappear. Sis! Her body parted from mine. The warmth faded into the distance. My brain understood that she would never come back. Well then, shall we be off? Yeah. The man opened the door, and my sister left the room without looking back. No! The man followed after her. Where exactly were they going? Why did she have to go? Why was I being left alone? Just like Mom and Dad. And now my sister. Why was everyone disappearing? Before I knew it, I snapped and ran out of the house after them. She was still there. She stood between some number of men, walking leisurely away. Sis! She halted. The men looked at me suspiciously, but I didn't care about that. I had to say something. This was different from when my parents disappeared. Right now, my sister was about to leave for who knows where. I had to stop her. Surely I would be able to take her back. But how? Ryou, you mustn't cry. What? You're a boy. You mustn't cry. If you have time to cry, then you have time to become even stronger. You're strong now, but I'm sure you could become even stronger. You're kind and have the strength within you to protect others. I know you do. My sister addressed me with the same kind of tone she always did. Her back was still turned. But why did her words feel a little sad? I'm glad I met you. I was really happy. So let's meet again someday. I have a hunch I'll be lucky enough to meet you then as well. Just like that, she disappeared without saying another word. Far away, so far I could never see her again. I didn't want that to happen. Why couldn't we just be together forever? Why? I'm impressed you're not crying. That man from before, what did she call him? Lieutenant Inaba? Why was he here again? Why do you look so surprised? I've been here the whole time. Well, I was waiting for you to calm down. Do you think you have a moment to listen to what I have to say? This is when he persuades him to join the army. I didn't reply and glared into Inaba's eyes. This was the guy. If not for him, I thought I'd say thanks before I left. For looking after Natsume. She was happy, huh? Sounds like her life here must have been pretty nice. Aren't you the one who ruined it? I couldn't hold back any longer. My head was boiling like it had caught fire, and I couldn't help but just want to spew flames at him. I aimed and launched my tightly clenched fist straight at Inaba's stomach, a fist filled with hatred, sorrow, and despair. Holy bam! My fist made contact. Or so I thought, until I was sent flying sideways. I felt a burning in my cheek as I smacked into the ground. Ah, you surprised me. Those movements just now, you were like a wild animal. Have you ever received any sort of training? Shut up! I could feel my head loosely shaking, but I still managed to stand, groveling on the ground in front of this man. What a joke. If not for the difference in our reach, I'd be out cold about now. Dangerous. Very dangerous. Actually, are you okay? I hit you with everything I got by mistake. I told you to shut up. I don't want anyone like you worrying about me. Oh, I guess you're fine. That's a relief. He grinned and suddenly threw something down at me. It was a small, thin piece of paper. What's this? It's my card. Take that and go to the Unified Military Base. Base? You're a little too young to enlist, but I'll do something about it. The army is seriously short-handed, so you should be able to enlist as long as you pass the physical. You look like you're in good shape, so I'm sure you'll do fine. Why do I have to enter the military? I'm telling you how to meet Natsume. Shut up and listen. His tone suddenly turned furious. If you secluded yourself on this mountain, you'll never see Natsume again for the rest of your life. The quickest way to see her is to enter the army. Why? Because it's the military that has custody of her, but it's not easy to reach where she's being kept. Not unless you claw your way there as if your life depended on it. Natsume told you to become strong too, right? If you want to improve yourself, there's no better place than the military. Why do I have to listen to what you say? He was making a fool of me. He took her away and now he's telling me to meet her? Or how to meet her? Don't screw with me. If it weren't for you people, who gives a crap about the military? I'll take my sister back without becoming some crony of yours. I don't want to hear something so high and mighty from some kid who couldn't even protect her. I don't care if you want to seclude yourself on this mountain and regret it for the rest of your life. You can even lash out and attack the army if you like, but you'll never meet Natsume again. First, learn how powerless you are. Become acquainted with the world. That's where it all begins, including what it means to become an adult. He suddenly clicked his tongue. Worthless. I've said way too much. And when he tried to turn around, wait! What? You took my sister away! So why are you telling me how to get her back? That's simple. It's probably because I want you to get her back. There wasn't any particular emotion in what he said. It sounded like he was just saying whatever came to mind. However, you and my sister are... Well, I wonder myself. We're both adults after all. They do say there are relationships so complex and incomprehensible you can't put labels on them. I don't get what you mean. Don't worry, I don't either. After saying that, he just smiled a little. The fact I hated him for taking my sister hadn't changed. It hadn't changed, but was it because of the way his smile looked so sad? Or was it because of the way his shoulders seemed to droop? In order to take my sister back, I grasped at the straw held out in front of me, or so I thought. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to end the video here. This was slightly a longer one, so yeah, holy crap, a lot of flashbacks in this one, and poor Natsume. So we get sort of an insight into Ryou's motivation, that actually what sort of brought him to this place, the reasons for it. So yeah, very interesting indeed. So I want to thank you all so very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I shall see you in the next video. Peace!